The next section has to do with dividing decimals. So we started with dividing fractions. We did our copy dot flip. Now we're going to move on to dividing decimals. So the best way to go over this is to make sure you understand what the division problem is saying. So if I say 12 divided by 3, what this actually looks like in that old school long division, it's saying 12 divided by 3. If it was a fraction, it would be like 12 divided by 3, right? And so it's important that you guys, whenever we're working with decimals, realize this second number, which would be on the outside, which would be the denominator, those, if it's in any of those spots, it cannot have a decimal. So what we have to do is we have to manipulate the number. If it has a decimal, these ones don't, we have to manipulate the number so that it doesn't have a decimal. And the way we do that is we times it by 10. So if we times this by 10, we would have to add a 0, add a 0, add a 0, but that would be changing the value. So to keep everything the same, if we add a 0 here, we have to add a 0 here. So now we haven't changed the value at all. We've just manipulated the numbers so that we can work with them. Let me show you what it's like with a decimal. So 7.48 divided by 0.4. Well, you'll notice this would be in the denominator. It would be on the outside of a long division sign, and it's our second one in a divide problem. We cannot have a decimal at this spot, all right? So because of that, we need to move our decimal. If we move it here, we have to move this one too. It makes it so that it doesn't change the value. I can't make that clear enough. We're not changing the value. We're really just manipulating numbers. So I've manipulated it to where I can work with it. Now I say 74.8 divided by 4. I changed those values. If you wanted to write it like this, 7.48 divided by 0.4, and then move it, like, you're more than welcome to do that. I like to move it so that I don't have a ton happening right here. So anyway, at this point I haven't moved. I know where it's at. It will be right here in my answer. So whenever I get to that point, that's where my decimal is, and then I keep working past that to finish out that division problem. Now, 4 goes into my first number, 7, one time. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. I subtract it. I have a 3 left over. See, this number right here lets you know that you can't get another one out of it, right? And then we drop down this, so I have a 4. I know 8 will give me a 32, so 8 is going to be my next number. 8 times 4 is 32. Take that away. I have a 2. I'm not worried about the decimal right down here. I don't need it down here. All I do is I need it in my answer. So now I bring down my 8, and then I know that 4 times 7 is going to give me my 28. If I had anything left over, I would keep going, but I don't. So I know that my answer is 18.7. And once again, if you have your calculator, you can type this original one in and it will give you this answer. It does all of this in it, okay? But I understand that it's important to know what's happening as well. So that's why I want to teach you guys really what's happening as you're doing these things. So you're gonna do an example of this, and then we're gonna move on.